Hello, it's Richard with the June 14th daily meditation from Around the Year with Emmett Fox. Let's see. Common sense vocabulary. When you apply a certain word to God, it must bear the same essential meaning as it does when you apply it to man. Otherwise, it has no meaning at all. When you say that God is love or intelligence, or that he is just, these words must mean substantially what they mean when applied to human beings. The love of God must be essentially the same thing that we know as the love of the mother for her children, or the love of the artist for his creation, purified and increased to infinity, of course. Many people say that God is love, and at the same time maintain that he visits finite sin with eternal punishment. They claim that God is just, and yet maintain that people living today are suffering disabilities for a sin supposed to have been committed by Adam thousands of years before they were born. The truth is that God is love and intelligence, and that he works with perfect wisdom and perfect justice to all at all times in the ordinary and correct meaning of these words. God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. God and upright is the Lord. Good and upright is the Lord. So, to me, what they're talking about is, what's the simplest way? So, if I say God is love, I have to think to myself, what do I mean by love? What is love? And to me, I believe there's only two driving forces in this world. There's love and fear. And you cannot have one inside the other. They're two separated things. There's either love or there is fear. So if God is love, then obviously God is not fear. So if I'm saying, when I say God is love, at the same time, what I'm saying is that God only brings good. Love only brings good. So if I say that I want to be love, or I want to be within love, in other words, be within God, then I need to only bring good. And that's the test. For me, it's the problem at the same time that it's the goal. And what do I mean by that? It's the problem because I am not God. I am within God, but I also suffer where I carry both. And at different times I can be driven by fear, and then at times I can be driven by love. So when I look at my own actions, when I look at my own thoughts, when I look at my life, and I evaluate myself, I have to be able to think to myself, am I allowing fear to drive myself? So and if I am, then that's where I am creating. That's where I am manifesting the negative that comes in my life, through my own actions and through my own thoughts. It's not this scenario where, if God is love, then God doesn't punish me by bringing bad things into my life. I punish myself because God is love, and therefore he can't, or he won't, whichever you want to call it, create the punishment. He is about forgiveness, God is love. He's all forgiving. Is so I always have to try to evaluate myself and then align myself with what I believe God to be. And that is why I'm constantly trying to. That allows me to constantly try to better myself, and treat others better. I'm always trying to treat others better, even if they do harm me. If I see something harmful, then I have to evaluate what did I do in order to place myself in that situation, because that's what it boils down to is that if I'm living in love, if I'm living in God, then the reality of it is I am manifesting good, continuous all good, and therefore good is the only thing that's coming into my life. When negative, evil, whatever it is that we want to call it, manifests into my life, in the physical realm, I look back on my life and I can evaluate what my part is. And then the next time, hopefully I can, remove or lessen, whatever the wrong was that I did. Maybe, discard it before it gets too bad, whatever it is, because there's different levels. I'm one of the things I always say is I don't go from 0 to 100 instantaneously. That's just not real. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 100. Now I might, be driving a 20-year-old moped and it takes me a really long time to get to 100, or I could be driving a Lamborghini and almost instantaneously can go to 100. So there's different, we can go from 0 to 100 at different rates, but I always have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I go through all of them to get to that 100, to get to the, the place where I'm living in love. So what that means is, for me, that, while I make mistakes, just like God is, if God is all love, He's all forgiving. If I'm trying to be love, then I need to be forgiving too. And that's not just forgiving of others, but that's forgiving of self. Is that I have to forgive myself for my own defaults and my own defects, for my mistakes, for the times that I falter. And eventually I get to the place where I am living in love. Eventually I can get to the place where I'm living there all the time. I can get to that 100. So it's, I always have to remember, is God doesn't, for me, my belief is that God doesn't punish. God only loves. And that means that he is only bringing positive in, and He's all forgiving. And that's of everybody, including me, to each and every other person that's, in this world. So I hope that kind of explained my take on it and what I believe that He's talking about. And I hope you have an incredible day, and I will see you tomorrow.